The Bold, the Beautiful B&B. Spoilers reveal that Hope Logan, Annika Noel, knows how much is on the line now that Steffy Forrester, Jacqueline Massinswood, has delivered her ultimatum. If Hope doesn't avoid stepping out of bounds with John Finnegan, Tanner Novlin, she can kiss Hope for the future goodbye. Based on fall preview spoilers, it looks like Steffy's plan may actually pay off. Hope will find a new man to focus on soon, so Steffy may hope she can finally just have some peace in her marriage for once. That's not how it works on soaps, where there's always more drama on the horizon. Hope may no longer be a threat, but that doesn't mean Finn and Steffy are in the clear when it comes to avoiding problematic people on canvas. We certainly can't forget about Sheila Sharp, Kimberlin Brown, who never stays on her best behavior for very long. Sheila was wrongfully accused by multiple characters, including Steffy, during the summer mystery that just played out, but she's still capable of anything at her core. That's why Steffy will still have good reasons to be wary if Sheila starts causing issues again. Will Finn and Steffy face some familiar fears in the months ahead? Hayes Forrester Finnegan, Alexander and Chase Banks recently made another appearance, so that could be a sign that B&B's going to start using him on screen more often. Fans could see for themselves how much Hayes has grown, so Sheila is missing crucial years of her grandson's childhood. How long will Sheila let this go on before she decides to take action? This might be a great time for B&B to reignite Sheila's Hayes obsession, especially since Halloween will be here before you know it. It'd definitely spook Steffy and Finn if Sheila snatched Hayes, even just for a little visit. Of course, there could also be a situation where Sheila rescues Hayes somehow, but that probably wouldn't be enough to convince Steffy to lift the grandma ban. Steffy seems pretty insistent on keeping Sheila out of the picture forever, so Sheila may resort to drastic measures to see Hayes. Will Steffy catch Sheila making a scary move at some point? The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Sheila's Hayes fixation could become a bigger problem down the road, so stick with us for more Sheila predictions and updates on Steffy's reaction to any bad news. CVL's where you want to be for terrific Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, predictions, news, and updates, so make us your go-to source. It was a typical day in Los Angeles, with the waves crashing against the cliffs as Steffy Forrester, Jacqueline Massinswood, enjoyed a peaceful afternoon at the Cliff House with her son, Hayes Forrester Finnegan. Life had seemingly settled down after months of turmoil. John Finnegan, Tanner Novlin, her devoted husband, had returned from his long shifts at the hospital, and the family was finally getting back into a rhythm after all the chaos surrounding Sheila Sharp, Kimberlin Brown, or so they thought. Steffy had made it clear Sheila was to remain out of their lives, especially out of Hayes' life. Despite everything Sheila had done in the past, Steffy was haunted by the possibility that her son's grandmother might attempt to reconnect, and in typical soap fashion, when you least expect it, danger lurks around the corner. With Sheila Sharp, danger was a certainty. Hope Logan, Annika Noel, had just come off a brutal confrontation with Steffy. The two women had a long, tense history, and Steffy's latest ultimatum regarding her fashion line, Hope for the Future, had left Hope reeling. Hope knew that Steffy meant business. If she didn't keep her distance from Finn, she could kiss her entire career goodbye. No more designs, no more spotlight, no more hope for the future. Though Hope was determined to respect Steffy's wishes, the damage had already been done. Finn was Steffy's husband, and Steffy's top priority was protecting her family from anyone who might destabilize their bond. She had no idea that the real threat wasn't Hope, but someone much more sinister, Sheila, who was about to re-emerge from the shadows with an obsession that hadn't faded with time. As the days went by, Sheila found herself thinking more and more about her grandson Hayes. She had missed the opportunity to bond with him during his early years and hadn't been part of his life since his birth. The sting of rejection from Steffy had never faded. And though she had been wrongfully accused of certain misdeeds in recent months, her reputation as a villain was still well-deserved. Sheila's history with the Forresters, especially with Finn and Steffy, had been turbulent and destructive. But despite it all, Sheila's yearning for a connection with her grandson only grew stronger with each passing day. Sheila had tried to stay out of trouble, hoping that one day she would be granted the opportunity to be part of Hayes' life. But as the months turned into years, Sheila realized that Steffy would never allow that to happen. The only way to see Hayes would be to take matters into her own hands, even if that meant resorting to drastic measures. Steffy, meanwhile, couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing. Despite her recent victories in business and her ultimatum against Hope, her instincts told her that something more dangerous was on the horizon. Finn had been supportive, standing by her side as they navigated their complicated family dynamics, but Steffy couldn't let her guard down. Her history with Sheila was too long and too fraught with terror. Every time Steffy saw Hayes playing in the yard or sleeping peacefully in his crib, she couldn't help but think of Sheila's fixation on him. Sheila had made it clear in the past how much she wanted to be part of Hayes' life, and though Steffy had shut down those requests, she knew Sheila wasn't someone to take no for an answer. It was Finn who reassured Steffy during those moments of doubt. "She's not coming back, Steffy. We've made it clear to her that she's not welcome. Hayes is safe." But even as Finn said those words, a part of him wondered if it was true. Could Sheila truly let go of her obsession? Meanwhile, across town, Sheila sat alone in her apartment, staring at the few photographs she had of Hayes. Her mind raced with memories of Finn's birth, her own complicated relationship with her son, and the time she had hoped to spend with her grandson. But the more Sheila thought about it, the more determined she became. If Steffy wouldn't allow her to see Hayes, she'd have to find another way. The idea began as a spark in Sheila's mind, but soon it grew into a fully formed plan. It was nearly Halloween, and the idea of stealing just a moment with Hayes, perhaps even disguising herself to get close to him, started to feel possible. Sheila had always been a master of deception, and with the festive season providing ample opportunity for costumes and masks, she saw her chance. Sheila decided she would take matters into her own hands, but she wasn't sure yet how far she was willing to go. Would she simply visit Hayes in secret, or would she take him away from Steffy altogether? The thought of holding her grandson in her arms was too tempting to resist. One chilly evening, as the leaves began to fall and Halloween decorations dotted the streets of Los Angeles, Steffy tucked Hayes into bed. She kissed his forehead, as she always did, and left the room, the baby monitor humming softly in the background. Finn was working late, and Steffy finally allowed herself to relax, settling onto the couch with a glass of wine. But as Steffy scrolled through her phone, a feeling of unease washed over her. She couldn't place it at first, but something felt off. It wasn't long before she heard a noise from the baby monitor, an unfamiliar sound that sent a chill down her spine. Steffy bolted from the couch and rushed toward Hayes' room, her heart pounding in her chest. The door was slightly ajar, and as Steffy pushed it open, she saw a shadowy figure standing over Hayes' crib. For a moment, Steffy froze, the air catching in her throat. But then the figure turned, and the face that stared back at her was one she had hoped to never see again. It was Sheila. Steffy's worst nightmare had come true. Sheila had somehow made her way into the house, standing over her son, as if she had every right to be there. "What are you doing here?" Steffy's voice was barely a whisper, a mix of fear and fury. Sheila's eyes were wide, and for a moment, Steffy thought she saw something soft, something maternal, in the way Sheila gazed at Hayes. "I just wanted to see him, Steffy," Sheila said, her voice trembling with emotion. "He's my grandson. I have a right to see him." Steffy's fear quickly turned to anger. "You have no right," she snapped, stepping between Sheila and the crib. "You need to leave now, before I call the police." But Sheila didn't move. Instead, she looked down at Hayes, who was still fast asleep, unaware of the tension that filled the room. "I just wanted to hold him," Sheila whispered, "just for a moment." Steffi's hands shook as she reached for her phone, ready to call for help. But before she could dial, Sheila stepped back, her face hardening. "You don't understand, Steffi. You think you can keep him from me, but I'll always be his grandmother. I'll always be part of his life." With that, Sheila turned and disappeared into the night, leaving Steffi shaken and terrified. When Finn returned home that night, he found Steffi in a state of panic. She recounted the terrifying encounter with Sheila, her voice trembling as she described seeing the woman she had fought so hard to keep out of their lives standing over their son's crib. Finn's face turned pale as the weight of Steffi's words sank in. "We need to get a restraining order," he said immediately. "We can't let her anywhere near Hayes again." But Steffi shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "She's not going to stop Finn. She'll keep coming back. I don't know how we're going to protect him from her." As Finn pulled Steffi into his arms, the two of them realized that their family was once again under siege. Sheila's obsession with Hayes had reignited, and they had no idea how far she would go to get what she wanted. Sheila's reappearance had shattered the peace that Steffi and Finn had worked so hard to rebuild. With Sheila lurking in the shadows, her fixation on Hayes growing more dangerous by the day, Steffi knew that their family's safety was once again at risk. As Halloween approached and the days grew darker, Steffi and Finn braced themselves for whatever terrifying move Sheila might make next. But one thing was certain: Sheila Sharp was not a woman to be underestimated, and her obsession with Hayes was far from over.